The knife sharpener you spent $40 on is doing the one thing that actually ruins a knife. The thing that fixes it costs nothing, and it's probably holding your coffee right now. Today I'm going to show you how to bring a dull knife back to slicing paper sharp in about 30 seconds, using nothing but the rough little ring on the bottom of a coffee mug. No gadget, no stone, no money. And why the sharpeners lined up on the store shelf are quietly taking years off every knife you own. People spend anywhere from $15 to $200 on sharpening tools to fix a problem that, most of the time, isn't even dullness in the first place. The part I really want you around for is near the end, where I'll show you why your most expensive knife and your cheapest one go dull for the exact same reason, and why that reason means most of you have never actually needed a sharpener at all. I've kept the same $8 chef's knife frighteningly sharp for years with nothing but a mug, and I gave my pull-through sharpener away the afternoon I finally understood what it was doing to my knives. So let's start with the thing nobody tells you, because it changes everything that comes after. A knife that feels dull is usually not dull. The steel hasn't worn away. What's happened is that the edge, which is a ribbon of metal ground down to a few microns, thinner than a hair, has rolled over to one side. Every time you cut, that delicate edge folds a little, like the tip of a wave curling over. A rolled edge can't bite. It skids across the tomato skin and slides off the onion, and your brain files that under dull and starts shopping. But the sharpness is all still there, it's just bent sideways. And bent steel doesn't need to be ground away. It needs to be stood back up straight. That standing it back up has a name. It's called honing, and it is a completely different act from sharpening. Even though the store sells you one machine that claims to do both and does neither well. Honing realigns a rolled edge back to center. Sharpening grinds fresh metal off to create a brand new edge. You need to hone your knife constantly, but realistically before every few uses, and you need to actually sharpen it maybe once or twice a year. Confusing those two is the single most expensive mistake in your kitchen, and I'll come back to exactly why in a minute. Now, the mug. Flip any ceramic coffee mug upside down and look at the bottom. You'll see a ring of rough, unglazed ceramic. The little foot the mug stands on, the one part the factory left raw so it wouldn't fuse to the kiln shelf. That raw ceramic is hard. Harder than your knife steel, and pleasantly abrasive, which is a sentence I never expected to say about a mug. It's essentially a fine sharpening stone that came free with your morning coffee, and it will both realign a rolled edge, and with a little patience, put a genuine new edge on a knife that's actually worn. Here's how you do it. Set the mug upside down on a towel so it doesn't slide. Hold your knife at roughly a 20-degree angle to that ceramic ring, and if you can't picture 20 degrees, imagine laying the blade flat, then lifting the spine about 2 stacked coins high. That's close enough. Now draw the blade across the ring, edge first, in a smooth sweep from the heel of the blade all the way to the tip, like you're trying to shave a thin slice off the ceramic. 5 to 10 strokes on one side. Then flip the knife and do the exact same number on the other side, because the edge is 2 bevels meeting, and both sides have to match. You'll see gray marks building up on the mug. That's steel, and it means it's working. Wipe the blade and test it on a sheet of paper. If it bites in and slices clean instead of tearing, you're done. The whole thing takes about as long as it took me to describe it. If your knife is truly far gone, the same idea scales up with a sheet of wet sandpaper laid flat on the counter. A few hundred grit to rebuild, a finer grit to polish. Same angle, same edge first sweep. But for the daily, this won't cut a tomato problem. The mug is genuinely all most people will ever need. Quick pause here, because we're halfway in and I owe you some honesty. If this is the kind of thing you like, the stuff that saves you real money and makes you look at your own kitchen a little differently. Subscribing genuinely helps me keep making it, and it costs you nothing but a tap. And I just opened up a membership section for anyone who wants to actually support the work. A few of the perks are members-only videos I can't post publicly. No pressure either way. Now let me get to the part that should genuinely annoy you. Here it is, the thing I promised. Those pull-through sharpeners, the little plastic gadget with the V-shaped slot you drag the blade through, are, for most knives, a slow-motion wrecking machine. Think about what it actually does. It has 2 carbide teeth set at one fixed angle, and you drag your edge between them under pressure. That doesn't realign anything. It rips metal off both sides of your blade at an angle that almost certainly isn't your knife's real angle, tearing away a shred of steel every single pass. It feels sharp for a day because you've basically savaged a rough new edge onto it. But you've just taken a chunk of life off a knife that was engineered to last decades, and if you do it every week because it keeps going dull, you'll grind a good knife down to a butter spreader in a couple of years. Which, and I'm not saying this is a conspiracy, I'm just noticing it out loud, is fantastic for the people who sell both the cheap sharpeners and the replacement knives. And that ties straight into the reason your expensive knife and your cheap one die the same death. A rolled edge doesn't care what your knife cost. $200 Japanese steel and a $10 supermarket blade both roll over with normal use, and both come right back with 30 seconds of honing on a mug. The expensive knife holds its edge a bit longer between honings because the steel's a little harder. That's the real thing you paid for. But if you're sharpening it wrong, you're grinding that pricey steel away faster than the cheap stuff because there's more of it worth destroying. The mug treats them identically. The airflow of this whole channel, if you've been around, is basically the same lesson over and over. The expensive version and the cheap version usually fail for the same dumb reason, and the fix is almost always free. A couple of bonuses to make this last. First, most of what dulls your knives day to day isn't cutting food, it's the surface you cut on. Glass cutting boards, stone counters, and ceramic plates are harder than your blade and roll that edge instantly. Cut on wood or soft plastic and your edge survives 10 times longer. Second, never ever put a good knife in the dishwasher. The heat, the harsh detergent, and the banging around against other cutlery roll and chip the edge worse than a week of cooking. Hand wash, dry it, done. Do those two things, and you'll be honing on your mug so rarely you'll almost forget you own a knife problem. One honest note before you go scrape a blade across your favorite mug. Use one you don't love because you will leave gray steel marks on that ring, and on some mugs they don't fully wash off. And if a knife is chipped or genuinely worn out from years of abuse, the mug will get it usable, but a proper whetstone or a real sharpening service is the right call. This is about ending the "it feels dull, so I'll buy something" reflex. Not pretending a coffee cup replaces a workshop, so that's the whole thing. Most dull knives aren't dull. The gadget you bought to fix them is grinding them into the ground, and the actual repair was sitting under your coffee the entire time. Free, 30 seconds, and slightly ridiculous. My favorite kind of fix. If there's a knife in your kitchen drawer you've quietly stopped using because it went dull, go flip a mug over before you buy anything. And send this to whoever does the cooking in your house. They've earned a knife that works. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.